This is Paul Barron. I am the owner, CEO, and founder of The Wall Printer, and I am happy to be here on this episode of the Business Growth Architect Show. I hope to share how to use the new rules of selling to find, attract, and nurture your customers and potential partnerships, relationships for the benefit of your business.
Welcome to the Business Growth Architect Show. I am Beate Chelette. I am the host. I want to welcome you to our globally top 10% ranked podcast, where you will hear from industry experts about the strategies that are working right now to unlock hidden opportunities in any market so that you can grow your authority and scale your impact. And now let's get started with the show. Hello and welcome back. This is your host, Beate Chelette, and welcome to the Business Growth Architect Show. With me today is Paul Barron from The Wall Printer. And Paul, I'm so excited that you're here. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Beate. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you and your audience. Looking forward to the conversation.
So the reason I wanted you on the show is because when we were connecting, you had said something to me that immediately, of course, piqued my interest. You said that there are new rules of selling. So I want you to first introduce yourself and tell the audience who you are and what you do. And then I want to dive into the subject of the new rules of selling.
Sure. So I'm Paul Barron. I'm the founder and CEO of The Wall Printer, which is a vertical printing technology and business opportunity for people who want to deliver wall art onto any wall, indoors or outdoors, using modern technology, kind of like an inkjet on steroids. But my background really is about 30 or 40 years of helping products become introduced to their high-value markets, vendors, strategic relationships, customers, revenue opportunities, driving that for various businesses. And basically, I'm product and technology and service agnostic. If I was going to describe what it is I've done in the past, sometimes I take equity positions and own the product in companies. Sometimes I work for people. I identified a product that I thought was just so cool and innovative and had never seen it before. And I just fell in love with it and decided that it would be a wonderful way for me to develop new entrepreneurs and startups and help people create their own financial hopes and dreams through a business opportunity. So that's what we're doing now. We've created in the past 3 years about 130 new businesses. It gives me a lot of pleasure. And yes, along the lines, I've learned the hats I like to wear and the ones I don't like to wear. In this business and most of the others, it was customer relationships, building those relationships, nurturing them for the benefit of my audience or customers. And the hats I like to wear the best are those relationship building, sales, marketing. So I've learned a lot over the years. And of course, I've gone through many decades of the evolution from pre-internet to today, living the life that I have in the time that I've lived. So I've been able to see things from pre-mobile phones to today, pre-internet to today, telephone sales and telemarketing, even though it still exists today with all the spam calls we get on our mobile phones. But it's still a way that people try to sell and interact with others. But the whole evolution of sales and marketing has definitely changed over the years. And I've tried to change with it. And I've tried to help other people change with it for not only for the betterment of their own revenue goals and their jobs and their way to help companies build their audiences and customers, but also for the betterment of the customers looking for products and services, whether it be technology, whether it be software, whether it be consumer packaged goods, a car, a restaurant, whatever they want, going out to the movies. It's changed greatly over the years. So I've adopted this new rules of selling to kind of roll with the punches, so to speak. And because people still want things, people still need things. People don't necessarily have to be sold today like they were in the past. They do have to buy when they want something, but it's more the consumer now that calls the shots rather than the seller. And so that's the core of what I call the new rules of selling, is being able to adapt to that.
Let's dive in this a little bit. A lot of people, when we talk about selling, have this traditional idea of you walk into the car dealership, the guy jumps up from behind his desk immediately corners you, and you feel from the first second that you're being sold to. This image of what we perceive selling is, which typically is uncomfortable, yucky, it's a bad person pushing something on us that we don't want. My first question to you is there a way for us as business owners to change this image from the get-go? Are there steps that you actually specifically take to reduce the barrier of entry, so to speak? Because I think that's always the first hurdle when people go like, is it a sales call?
So, Beate, absolutely. The answer is yes. The salesperson or the owner of a product or service definitely has a level of control that they did not have before. I don't like to use the word manipulated, but it's leveraged is a better word. The new technologies and social media and the way marketing is done today can be leveraged by businesses and people who understand it and how it resonates with the consumers that are using these new resources and facilities. So like I said, I lived through the life of pre-internet to today. And just as you pointed out, absolutely correct, Beate, you buy a car, you would go to the various dealers, you'd see the models, you'd test drive them. You would be definitely assaulted, is not an inappropriate word, by the salesmen who are rushing to tell you and show you everything and tell you the benefits. Oh, this car has air conditioning and power windows and wonderful tires, has navigation systems and there's sensors all around and all the new features that cars have in sunroofs or convertibles, hardtop convertibles, all these types of things that never were before. But as they're introduced, these car dealers, to use that as an example, want you to become aware of that. Well, that's not the case today. Today, you've done all your homework as a consumer online. You've spoken to people who have either had those cars. You go to Angie, you go to see people's reviews of everything from movies to cars to restaurants to products. And that influences you. In fact, that's why there's a term now, influencers and evangelists, to let people become more aware of the types of products that are out there and their benefits to the various consumers looking for these products. So with that said, the whole sales process has evolved to the point that customers have done their homework. They know already the type of car they want, the look, they know all the options they want. They know everything except perhaps how does it feel when I drive it. So when they walk into the dealership, they don't need to be addressed or even introduced to the vehicle by the salesperson. They're going to go right to the car they want. They're going to say, I'd like to test drive it. If they haven't already done that because of somebody they know, because they've gone on to Nextdoor or in their community or something, and they already have reached out to somebody who already has that car because they have through social media the ability to identify and find these people. And they've negotiated the price. They've looked at all the KBB, Kelley Blue Book, and Craigslist, and everything else you have available to you to find out what the price of cars selling for, what they're buying at. The bid and the ask in the stock brokerage terms. So all of this stuff is there for people to get now. And so that's totally turned upside down, whereas before the pyramid of selling was top heavy or bottom heavy, if you want to use my analogy of a pyramid, bottom heavy with sales that came up the pyramid all the way through until the time that you actually close the deal as a business owner dealing with a customer. Now, the entire base of the pyramid is all the marketing that the customer is doing. And as the customer is doing all their marketing, all that's left is sign the deal, close the deal. All that marketing has been done online. Now, as before, where we used to go ahead and do telephone conversations with people, now you have to have different communication skills. You have to know how to write. You have to be able to do comments. You have to be able to respond to people's comments. When people's reputation management, that's something big today in the whole sales cycle that never existed before. Somebody may be talking about a product or service or a worker or a salesperson or a restaurant or something or a chef, and what their skills were and what the results of that experience was. You have to be able to interact with people today in a different manner than you used to. Writing skills, I believe, today are more important than they ever were to be able to, because people can get the wrong tone from your emails, send out the wrong emoji, and you're either going to make a deal or lose a deal because somebody's going to interpret what you've said or what you've written in a totally inappropriate way to what your intention was.
So let's talk about this a little bit. So we just now established that you said that the first rule of change is that in the past we had to push the sale. Now the consumer makes a decision on what they want to buy. They do their research. How do I influence this decision-making process? You said reputation management. You said what I put out there. What are the rules of that? I mean, do I have to spend 80% of my time now on social media doing all of that? Like, how do I balance that? Let's just think about this for a second. If I can get a fully vetted client into my pipeline after they've done all their research, whatever that is, I'm one of one of two final candidates that they're wanting to buy from. That sale is going to be a hell of a lot easier. It's actually my sale to lose versus my sale to get. But how do I actually get there? What are the actions I need to take? So Google My Business, a must.
It's a great question. And the answer really lies in the fact that there are some things that have not changed. And the things that haven't changed are the human interaction. It's still a relationship that you're building with somebody, a trust. You're becoming a trusted resource to somebody so that when they have done all of their research online, which you can assume that they've done, and they know all the competition, they know who the competitors are. Now they're reaching out to you after doing 80% of their homework online, and they're looking to you to gain their confidence and to present what they assumed was the buying decision they've already made, and to confirm that and to provide the confidence they need. And that still comes from that face-to-face relationship. And I'll give you a perfect example. We at the Wall Printer, we use social media exclusively. We use YouTube, we use Facebook, we use Instagram, TikTok, we use our website and SEO, search engine optimization, Google ads, all of these things to attract people, to make them aware of what is vertical printing or wall printing or floor printing, the things that we do. What is it? What kind of machines are they? So now they know what it is and they're aware of it. We get from those efforts 150 inquiries every day just from social media marketing. Now, 140 of those people see that it's a $30,000 machine, which is what our machines retail for, and it's not your $100 desktop inkjet printer, and they disappear. Because 140 of those people say, really cool, no idea it was $30,000, not for me. I'm not looking for this business. I just thought it was cool to have a wall printed with something. And so they disappear. Maybe some of those 140 are people who say, it's not a business for me, but maybe I know somebody or I personally want a wall printed. We take that information and now we can make possibly another sale for one of my customers who has the wall printing machine in the locale where that person is, geographically speaking. But 10 of those 150 will be those people who see it as a business and they understood the advertising we were doing on social media. And then the next step is to try to allow them to understand that there is information to be learned about this. Are they the right people for this type of business? And let them make a decision, whether or not it is by getting the right information. And the right information may mean more homework on their part, but it's usually a conversation with us. So just like you and I, Beate, today are having this conversation via Zoom, that's what happens to 10 of those 150. They're scheduled for a Zoom call. They see like the picture behind me, which is a wall printing. They see what the results might be. They learn a little bit more. They ask about the technology. They ask about how much money can I make. They ask a little bit more about the costs and everything else that goes into having a business, whether it's a wall printing business or food or hamburgers or being a plumber or a lawyer. They could ask what goes into it, what's their education curve, all the things that are necessary to become a wall printing business owner. And so that happens with 10 of those. And then after 20 or 30 or 40 of those conversations, one will have the right fit for our products, for our company, and a relationship will be established and they will become the next wall printer. And that's what you go through today. And again, it's very rare, although not unheard of that people will actually come and visit us. We get maybe about 10 to 15% of the inquiries we get that will come to Wilmington, North Carolina, and see the printers in action. But now we happen to have the luxury of having 100 or more customers. So unlike where we were 2 years ago or 3 years ago when nobody had these machines, because we were the ones who introduced it here into North America, now there are people that they can go see and they can go talk to besides us and kind of get it from the horse's mouth. And so now they can do more of that online research homework, phoning people, visiting people, doing those same kinds of things that people do to get people's impressions of a product or a company or the support we give them, the training, everything else that comes along with this. But ultimately, social media is now, that's our way to do things.
All right, and we'll be right back after this quick message. Are you looking for the hidden opportunities for you in this market? Or are you simply wanting to figure out what is your unique differentiation factor that makes clients want to work with you and not your competitors? If this resonates, I want to invite you to go to uncoverysession.com and schedule your 15-minute complimentary uncovery session with one of our business growth advisors that will take you through what your number one business growth blocker is, what you can do to remove it, and what your very best next step should be. And now let's get back to the show. And welcome back. This is Beate on an interview with Paul Barron from the Wall Printer, and we're talking about the new rules of selling and understanding really your customer and getting involved in these kinds of deeper conversations. So you had said something, Paul, about something that I call, or that one of my guests has previously called, the phantom avatar. And that is that you had said to me that you cannot create the problem that you're selling to. Can you explain what you mean by that? Because I think that especially right now, as we are having a bit of an economic pullback, that people still insist that the way they've always done it is the right way, whereas you and I know things have changed. So how do I make sure that I don't create a problem that doesn't exist? How do I know that I solve a problem for my client?
Well, first on a couple of things that you mentioned there, there's quite a lot of good stuff to unpack there. One of which is understanding that change is inevitable. So you, to be successful, are going to have to pivot and react to that change. And as far as entrepreneurship in general, no technology, no service, no product should ever be developed chasing a problem or creating a problem of which it is a solution. You have to actually have some pain points. Do people really want this? And just like people say to me all the time, they may want this and they may think it's the coolest thing they've ever seen to see a wall printer printing a large mural on a wall, but who wants it? Can I make money doing it? Because we're selling business opportunities for people. We want them to make money. Well, can you? And why would they want to use a wall printer to do that as opposed to the alternatives? Well, everybody knows, just look around your community. There's 15 different places where you can get coffee or a hamburger or pizza or your choice of plumbers or doctors or lawyers, or service people. There's all these choices in established businesses and products that people understand and can see all around them. So to differentiate yourself, to be the solution, you have to do something different. Ultimately, that difference is, once again, the interrelationships you develop, the confidence you give people in you becoming a trusted resource, whether that means you cook a hamburger better than somebody else's, or your pizza has a better crust that somebody likes. Everybody is different and everybody will like something a little bit different. And that's why you have all these choices, and many are successful even in the same thing. When you're introducing something brand new, like we chose to do, with risk, there's reward, but there's also the challenge. One thing I say to everybody that says, hey, that looks pretty cool, I want to be a wall printer. The first thing I say, well, if you want to be a wall printer, there's good news and bad news. The good news is you're probably going to be the first one in your block or the first one in your community to be doing wall printing. The bad news is you're going to be the first one in your community to be doing wall printing, because you have to tell people, what is it? Why do they want it? What solution? What problem do they have? Well, the problem really is, how many ways are there to put artwork on walls? That's what attracted me to this, is that sure, you can get a vinyl sticker, but that may not go in some places outdoors or in some surfaces. Then there is somebody who could paint. Artists are wonderful, but they take a long time. And whereas our solution doesn't take the food off the table of artists, it actually helps them deliver their art reliably and quickly, but allows them to do what they do best, which is create the art. It creates a new opportunity, a new solution for artists that didn't have the time to spend days or weeks to produce a large wall mural when they could create the artwork, and our machine could take an image of that digitally on a USB stick, put it into our machine, and print a 6 feet tall by 20 foot wide mural, or a 20 foot high tall by 20 foot wide mural on a building or an event space or something. And it could do that quickly and easily, as opposed to the weeks or months it might take an artist to do that project, letting them be the creatives, which is what they really are. But again, you could have a framed picture on your wall. You could have a vinyl sticker. You could do wallpaper of a certain pattern. There are basically very few choices of how you put artwork on the wall. So to me, this was a solution to people who wanted to decorate their rooms, their schools, their hospitals, their offices, restaurants, whatever they had, with various forms of art. Or text or signage. And sure, there are a lot of signage companies out there that do signs on vinyl and plastic, but very few could actually go right to the wall and put something on it. So all of those things combined is what attracted me. It responds to the fact that you must identify a solution to somebody's problem or a market gap. That maybe is more appropriate, is that there has to be a gap in the market where your product, your service, your technology will satisfy somebody's need.
There's two pieces to it. So number one, I remember when bottled water first came out, and I mean, please, what a revolutionizing idea. Just take water, put it in a bottle, sell it for a ton of money. I mean, Evian, that was just freaking genius. And now we can't drink water unless it is in a bottle. I mean, talk about creating a market need. But so you either take something and you make it better, or you give it the perception of making it better. I remember when, I first came to the United States and there was only the regular drip coffee that was classic in diners. And then Starbucks came and created these overpriced beverages. And now you get a cappuccino. It's like $6, $7, $8 for a coffee. I mean, it's just unbelievable. That is taking something that exists and make it better, or give it a spin, or give people this moment of luxury or reprieve or something that's going to make them feel a particular way. The other thing, what you talked about, is to create or expose a market need. We did not know we needed computers until computers were available. We didn't know we needed a Walkman. That's how far back I go to, is we didn't know we need a Walkman until we had a Walkman, and then it couldn't be without it. And I was very proudly as a child putting my cassette tape in my top 40 mix cassette that I recorded on the radio, and put it and carried it with me when I flew on the plane.
And try to find that one song that you really liked on that cassette.
Oh my God. And then you like it so much, and you had to rewind it, repeat it, and then tape broke, and then you had to learn how to splice it, or the machine ate it. Crazy stuff. And nobody knew they needed an iWatch until the watch was out, until we needed that kind of phone, until that phone was out. So there's also a part about having this visionary component of creating something that when somebody sees is where people go, this is freaking genius. I had this idea that I was going to take coffee table books and turn them into ebooks. Now, which is in theory a really brilliant idea, because all these great artists and photography books that you spend so much money on, wouldn't it be really great to have that on your iPad or your mobile device, and then you can have your art with you all the time? What I did not realize were two things. It is just as much time, effort, and money to promote a 99-cent product or a $2.99 product as it is to do a $30,000 product, and you have to do a hell of a lot more volume than that. And number two, nobody ever walked into my living room, saw my iPad on my coffee table, and says, "Oh, is that where your coffee table books are? Can I take it and have a look at it?"
Absolutely, and a great analogy. And again, you've actually just, this whole conversation here has really reinforced this whole notion of the new rules of selling, because everything we're talking about here is all about marketing, not the buying process, but just creating that perception perhaps, but finding that market gap or marketing need. Sometimes, yes, it's created, but it's created out of a need people had. I swim. And I wear a watch that tells me how many laps I swim and what the time that I swim. It never occurred to me that I would care that I swam 100 yards in this amount of time or a mile, and this is how many laps it would take. I used to try to count those in my head, and now I don't have to anymore. And so all of these types of things, sure, was that a problem? No, but am I taking advantage of the new technology to make my experience swimming better? Yes, absolutely. And that's what goes to this whole notion of creating, whether it be a perception or a solution to somebody's problem. Sometimes you really don't know what problem you have until somebody presents it to you, but they have, whether you know it or not, identified a problem. They've identified a market gap. They have an indefinite need that you have had. I don't know any athlete these days that does anything, much less non-athletes who just walk around with their Fitbits on or whatever and measure their steps every single day, even though most people don't know why they're doing it and don't really care. But they do it anyway, and they have to get to that 10,000, which is also a completely arbitrary number that is meaningless. But nevertheless, the whole thing has been created around that. And how many millions and millions of dollars have been spent on these devices?
This is a really good point for us to make in this, just to sum it up one more time, is find an existing need, sell to it, expose a need that people have that they didn't know that they have, or make something that exists and just make it a lot better. So Paul, for somebody who's heard this interview and says, I must speak to Paul, I must learn more about you, where do we send them?
I use LinkedIn to connect with people, not only of people that have my interests, but people who may find me as a resource to whatever their interests are. I'm always happy to connect and learn from people. I definitely learn more from others than they learn from me, I think. But LinkedIn is a good way to connect with me. If there was something about the wall printer specifically that you found interesting and wanted to know about that, please, by all means, go visit thewallprinter.com. And if you want even more information, once you've done that, you could just fill out a form on the website and we'll get in touch with you and we'll explain more about this. But by all means, feel free to connect with me. I love building my network and building other people's networks, because you never know when it's going to come around to your benefit and to the benefit of others. Get out there, be a trusted resource to people. And you never know when their skills and their background and their experiences are going to be of benefit to you tomorrow.
I love that. And should we also mention that you also teach entrepreneurship?
Well, yeah, I was very honored recently. Thank you for mentioning that. Beyond teaching, I am a mentor at the local university. There's a UNCW, which is the University of North Carolina branch here in Wilmington, North Carolina, where I reside, and has a university center for innovation and entrepreneurship. And what they do is they nurture faculty, students, the community, anybody who has an idea, startup, or even existing businesses that have some type of pain point in their growth or their development. It may be legal, it may be financial, it may be sales and marketing. And so we have this resource that people could reach out to. And I was very honored recently being selected as the 2023 Entrepreneur of the Year Award. I was very proud of that achievement, not so much for myself, but also for my team here at the Wall Printer. People were asked, the judges were asked, of the several hundred applicants that were submitted for this award, if you had to pick one company that you would invest $100,000 in, what would it be? And the award winner, which was the Wall Printer, was selected. And it was a very, very big honor for me and for my team and for my company. So I'm very involved with entrepreneurship, not only for the benefit of me and my customers, but also for the benefit of others that think that this is the path that they want to take, or find out that it's the path you shouldn't take.
Well, I wanted to bring this up because I do think that we also want to provide resources for somebody, and I know that you can be a resource. So everybody who is in the North Carolina area, please go ahead and check this out and see if this might also be a good fit for you. Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Beate, yours as well. Thank you for the invitation.
And that's it for us for today. Thank you so much for listening or watching to the Business Growth Architect Show. And until next time, and goodbye. Thank you for listening to or watching the show. We are so excited that you're here, and we are very grateful for you. Now it's our turn to ask you for help. Please do share this episode with one other person that needs to hear what we were talking about today. If there's any question you have about business, please do reach out to us and let us know. And don't forget to schedule your complimentary Uncovery Session at uncoverysession.com, where one of our business growth advisors will help you to figure out what your number one business growth blocker is in only 15 minutes. And that's it for us today. Until next time.